Masai Ujiri's Raptors front office has made a lot of mistakes, but this is one of the biggest ones yet. In this video, we'll uncover how Koloko ended up on the Los Angeles Lakers completely for nothing. Let's get into it. And sure, there's been bigger mistakes, of course, that Masai Ujiri has made and his front office has made in his time with the Toronto Raptors, which has been, ultimately very successful, bringing him up all the way to an NBA championship. But since that point, there has been mistake after mistake after mistake, and a lot of these mistakes end up with the Raptors losing a good to very good asset completely for nothing. And this is another situation in which the Raptors either lose a player for nothing or fail to capitalize on the total and maximum value that the player can provide to the team. Koloko, if you guys have not seen, has signed on a contract to return to the NBA, yes, but it's with the Los Angeles Lakers. This comes 6 months after the Toronto Raptors waived a very promising center, and all of a sudden he's on another team, and the Raptors have gotten absolutely nothing out of it. So the whole saga unfolded as this. The Raptors selected Koloko with the 33rd overall pick in the 2022 NBA entry draft. This was a pick that I was extraordinarily excited about. If you were following the channel at the time, you knew Koloko was very high on my list of potential draft candidates for the Raptors to select very early on in the second round of that draft. He had a good summer league, good preseason, ended up having a relatively good rookie season with the Raptors and with the Raptors 905. It wasn't exactly a player who was ready for big rotational minutes in the NBA, but it was a player coming into his first year in the league after being a second round pick that showcased a lot of promise for the team and a lot of promise in providing a role the Raptors really needed. Koloko is a very good defender. That is why the Raptors selected him. Not only is he 7 feet tall, not only is he a very good rim protector, moves his feet very well for his size, could even defend a little bit out on the perimeter. Was showcasing maybe some signs of being able to hit threes, actually hit one very critical one against the Phoenix Suns in his rookie season for the Raptors, but nonetheless, a great young player with a lot of promise going forward. The Raptors were very excited about working with him, but the situation became a little bit difficult going into his second season. He was not playing in preseason, and he was listed out with an injury for an undefined amount of time with what was, quote, considered a respiratory issue. They didn't want to elaborate further on the details around that. Fair enough. They wanted to respect the player's privacy. But then came the start of 2024, where the Raptors were going into a bit of an overhaul process. OG Anunoby had already been traded, and they were very much working towards trading Pascal Siakam. Siakam was eventually traded to the Indiana Pacers in a trade that brought back some draft assets. Yes, Bruce Brown, yes, but it also brought back Jordan Nwora and Kyra Lewis from the New Orleans Pelicans who were involved in the deal. The Raptors, taking on all of these players, had to make a roster decision in terms of waiving a player. We understood that. But what we didn't understand was the Raptors and their decision to waive Koloko. Only in his second year in the NBA, yes, he had been injured for the entire season with this, quote, respiratory issue. However, we were confused. What was the situation? Masai Ujiri ended up revealing that there was a blood clot issue ongoing with Koloko and that they exhausted every possible scenario with the player, and they felt like they had no choice but to waive him. After that point, it kind of felt like Koloko's basketball career in general was in jeopardy. His professional basketball career was in jeopardy, which was a very sad thing to see. And ultimately, I'm going back to the point I made previously about Koloko on this channel earlier on in the summer, where I said the big thing that we want to see ultimately is Koloko return to the NBA, return to professional basketball in any capacity. That is the main thing. It would be great if he did decide to go with the Toronto Raptors when he does come back to the NBA, but the biggest thing is that Koloko is healthy and can play professional basketball. We've crossed that bridge. That's fantastic. But how on earth are we here today with Koloko back in the NBA and he's not playing for the Toronto Raptors? No fault of this goes towards Koloko in any way whatsoever. It is completely and utterly on the Raptors front office. How have we gone in 6 months from being we've exhausted every possible scenario with the player and we've given up his rights to 6 months later, he's signing with the Los Angeles Lakers? This promising young asset the Raptors had is on another team, and the Raptors got absolutely nothing out of it. I don't know what the situation was when the Raptors waived him, maybe there wasn't enough information regarding his condition. Maybe they felt like this was going to be a prolonged absence and they couldn't just keep him on the roster all this time. But like, we're going into the next season and he's already coming back to the NBA, and you waived him to make room for one of Jordan Nwora, who isn't even in the NBA anymore, and Kyra Lewis, who, as far as I'm aware, is out of the NBA. I think he got waived. The Raptors waived him right after the Raptors waived him right after he arrived, and to my knowledge, he is currently without an NBA organization as well. Freeze frame, because in my anger, I actually got this one slightly wrong. Kyra Lewis actually never got waived by the Raptors. He was only sent down to the G League right after the Raptors got him, where he played 7 games for the 905. But he never played for the NBA Raptors, and at the end of the season, the Raptors let him go in free agency. So I think my point still stands regardless. So early in 2024, the Raptors brought in 2 players other than Bruce Brown in the trade. They waived Christian Koloko to make room for this trade to happen. 6 months later, Koloko is signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, and the 2 guys that the Raptors needed to make space for are out of the league. It is an unbelievably horrible situation that the Raptors have completely brought on themselves. Like, I talked about the assets you don't get enough out of. Maybe you get nothing out of them. You know, you have Marc Gasol leave for nothing. You have Serge Ibaka leave for nothing. You have Fred VanVleet leave for nothing. Kyle Lowry, you don't maximize his value. You wait to the end of the season, take on a bad sign and trade with the Miami Heat instead of trading him at the trade deadline with the 76ers, who are offering up Tyrese Maxey. The Raptors wait too long to trade Pascal Siakam, and they don't get enough out of the trade with the Indiana Pacers. Granted, for the time, look, Siakam's on an expiring contract. I think they did okay. Why would that trade not made sooner? And as a byproduct of waiting so long and taking on a worse deal, now what spills out of that trade is this situation where you waive Christian Koloko for seemingly no reason whatsoever. Again, I don't really know what the situation was behind the scenes in communication with the player, but it seems like the Raptors just gambled and completely lost, and it wasn't a gamble they ever needed to make. He should have been kept on the books at least to the end of the season to have a further understanding of the situation. But what I believe to be the case for the Raptors is that they thought when they waived him that, okay, you know, we had all these articles, all these reports. Christian Koloko and the Raptors were keeping in contact. The Raptors were keeping tabs on him at Summer League. This past summer, Christian Koloko was seen with Toronto Raptors members, Toronto Raptors players. What I think happened is the Raptors bought themselves some time by waiving him, seeing what was going on, and they just felt like when he's ready to come back to the NBA, naturally he was just going to choose the Raptors. They probably just felt like, why would he not come back to us? Well, I'll tell you why he wouldn't want to come back to the Raptors. Number one, you're offering this entire situation up to chance. There are 29 other NBA teams who likely wanted his signature. And as we all know, the purple and gold provide some blinders. If the Los Angeles Lakers come knocking, you get to play behind Anthony Davis rather than with a rebuilding Raptors team. You know, I love the Toronto Raptors, but as a basketball player, as a neutral basketball player, you know, you're probably going to lean one way over the other in that scenario. Second of all, Christian Koloko is probably assessing this situation in his time of absolute need, where he was wondering if his professional basketball career was going to continue. The Raptors gave up on his situation and waived him. I don't know what sort of animosity there was there towards the Raptors, but, you know, I got to feel like if I was in that situation, I needed the support from the Toronto Raptors, and they waived me. If another team with a better situation came knocking, I'd be a little bit more open to the possibility of not going back with the Toronto Raptors. It's a bad situation. I'm over the moon. I'm extraordinarily happy for Christian Koloko. You know, for a while I was very scared that his professional basketball career was over really before it even could get started. But at the time when the decision was made, I was upset that the Raptors just gave up on the situation. It felt just idiotic to let Christian Koloko walk before really getting a full understanding of the situation. And that's only compounded now. We're like, it's what the actually January, February, and he's back in the NBA playing with the Los Angeles Lakers. And this situation can only get worse. Koloko's a good player. I really liked him. I liked him before the draft. I liked him a lot more after seeing him with the Raptors in the rookie season. This situation can only stand to get worse and worse and worse, depending on how Christian Koloko improves, which I think he will, with the Los Angeles Lakers, playing behind, a great player to have as a mentor in Anthony Davis there. And what makes it even worse, on top of everything we've been through in this entire video of how bad this is, it's even worse because Koloko is exactly what the Raptors need. How many times this summer have I gotten on this camera here and said the big piece right now that the Raptors could use, they have some pieces missing, wing defender, all that. One of the biggest pieces the Raptors are missing right now is rim protection off the bench. They don't have a backup center who can protect the rim. Kelly Olynyk's a fine backup. I mean, he didn't look fine to them, but we'll see. Kelly Olynyk seems to be, last season, a fine backup, big, not one who can protect the rim. Guess what Christian Koloko is? The exact player. Like, literally, if I could handpick any player in the NBA to provide a backup role in maybe not huge rotational minutes, but can protect the rim when you need it, I think I would handpick Christian Koloko. And the Raptors had him. They had his rights. They would have had him as a restricted free agent this summer. I know they would have had him. He would have been a Raptor. But instead, here he is signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. So, huge mistake by the front office. Another player the Raptors failed to capitalize the value on. It's just becoming too big of a theme. Just when it feels like the Raptors are digging themselves out, like something else compounds onto the negative thoughts that people like myself, and I think rightfully so, are having with this front office lately. They really need to show up in the next year or two and showcase that they can dig the Raptors out of this, or else, honestly, consider what the options are. Masai Ujiri is very well respected, obviously, rightfully so, for that NBA championship, but just these errors cannot keep on piling up like this, where you're not trading a player soon enough, or you're not signing a player soon enough, so you're taking a bad deal, or they're walking for free, or in this situation, a complete mishandling of a player, who once again, I'm very happy is back with the NBA. I hold no animosity towards Koloko. I completely understand why he made this decision, and I wonder if you do as well. What do you make of this whole ordeal? What are your thoughts in the Raptors front office? What are your thoughts on Koloko's decision to sign with the Lakers? Give me your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. That's it for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. I promise more, maybe, well, I don't promise, but hopefully more positive Raptors content on the way as we're getting close to that season. Subscribe for more of it, and I'll see you again next time for another video.